Hello, my name is Jackie, and today I'll be presenting the findings from the first study of my PhD, a qualitative study exploring the participation experiences of young people with cerebral palsy in key life situations. So this study has been a team effort, and I would like to thank my wonderful supervisors, Professor Prue Morgan and Dr. Stacey Cleary, who's also here today, for their guidance throughout the entire project. I would also like to acknowledge the expert advisors for their contributions and time in this project. So as we're all familiar with, consumer engagement is one of the core themes here at CP Achieve, and all projects, including this one, involves consumers throughout the entire research process. We know that authentic engagement with consumers as research partners allow all research to meet the needs of people with CP as well as their families. The variable array of functional limitations a person with CP has contributes to the unique experiences one faces with navigating the responsibilities and challenges that comes with emerging adulthood. Research has traditionally focused on the childhood years, and less is known about the health and social changes associated with the transition into adulthood for young people with CP. As a result, there is currently relatively little research in the Australian context that explores this area. The aims of this qualitative study was to explore the experiences of adolescents and young adults with CP as they participate in daily life. A secondary aim was to explore the impact of the NDIS on daily activity participation. So on this slide is a selection of some life domains that are of interest in this particular study. Participants were given the opportunity to self-select domains they wished to talk about in their interview that resonated with them and their experiences the most. And to ensure that the interview questions were appropriate and easily understandable, the interview guide was piloted with 3 members of CP Unite, a self-named advisory group here at CP Achieve, working together as co-researcher advisors. So participants were eligible for inclusion if they have a diagnosis of CP between 16 and 30 years of age, lives in Australia, and have a good level of English to partake in a spoken or a written interview. Participants were recruited via a flyer, and then interested participants were then contacted, and then an interview time was organised. The interviews were transcribed verbatim and emailed to participants for member checking before analysis. All of the interview data was analysed using an inductive thematic analysis approach in NVivo 12. CP Unite advisors were involved in the data synthesis process to ensure the correct interpretation of the data. And then those suggestions were incorporated into the sense-making of the results. We recognise that the research team's prior experiences may potentially impact the interpretations of the findings. And in order to, mitigate this, collaborative discussions and triangulation of perspectives were used within the research team as well as the advisory group. The methodology around independent coding and thematic analysis, as well as the participants' confirmation of the transcripts, also helped enhance the credibility of the result, which I'll go through shortly. While the purpose of sampling strategies we employed during the recruitment period helped promote transferability across diversity in age, GMFCS levels, intellectual disability, and geographic location for the participants that were included in this study. So on to the results. 16 young people with CP participated in interviews between February and July of 2022. And one of those interviews took place via an email exchange. 11 participants were female and 5 were male, majority in their mid-20s, and resided across 4 states of Australia, with most of them from the state of New South Wales. Data saturation was reached by interview 14, but purposive recruitment strategies were used to recruit 2 more young people with cerebral palsy, aged between 16 and 20 years, to ensure the adolescent viewpoint was adequately explored. The diversity of the demographics of the participants that were involved in this study can be seen on this table presented on this slide. Appreciate it is quite detailed, but I just wanted to kind of show you the broad range of participants that we were able to recruit in this particular study, which resulted in the varied and broad experiences that came with those interviews. Participants, you can see self-reported gross motor function across GMFCS levels 1 and 5, had varying degrees of education levels, living situations, employment status, and a vast geographical spread across metro, regional, and rural areas of the 4 states of Australia. So the overarching theme of branching out into adulthood encapsulated the broad and varied hopes, plans, and experiences of participation for young people with CP as they journey through adulthood. And one participant summarized this perfectly by saying, one of the exciting things about getting older is you begin to feel more comfortable in your own skin, finding the motivation in my disability and growing into the person I was always meant to be. So under this overarching concept, 4 key themes were identified. I will now give a broad overview of some of the content within each of these themes. But of note, participant experiences of the NDIS are embedded within the relevant theme. So theme number 1 was around making sense of my CP as an adult. Feeling confident in their identity as a person with CP was described as a work in progress. Majority of participants expressed concern about how they would be received as well as perceived by others, which impacted their participation experiences in both personal and professional aspects of their lives. Participants with greater functional independence, so those who were GMFCS levels 1 or 2, explained that their decision for not applying for NDIS funding support was grounded on feelings of not being disabled enough and feelings of guilt for potentially taking away resources from someone who might need it more. Many participants revealed that they have spent most of their lives trying to fit in and be a part of a society that have often been hostile and unaccommodating. Within their daily encounters, they were subject to unfair treatment, discriminatory attitudes, and judgment from various community members. These interactions were upsetting, were often traumatic, and confidence and sense of self was significantly impacted by these accumulated experiences. Participants also recounted the many instances where they were told that they could not do what others can do simply because of their CP. This made them question their sense of belonging and their ability to participate in their community. However, rather than conforming to those expectations, many young adults demonstrated resilience and tenacity. They were determined to prove people wrong and to stand up for what is right. Participants found that it was imperative for them to self-advocate, as it was a duty that they owed to themselves. So many participants found it challenging to make new and meaningful connections with others as adults in both a social and romantic capacity. Their introverted personalities and getting others to see them for more than just their disability made it hard for them to make new friends. For those who were open to being in a romantic relationship, they reflected that perhaps they needed to make a bit more effort, give dating apps a try if they wanted to increase their chances of going on a date and meeting a romantic partner. So theme number 4 was around participation in the time of COVID. So during the prolonged period of lockdowns in Australia, to reduce the risk of exposure to the virus, many participants reported that they had stopped their hobbies and reduced their social interactions with their peers. Despite all the disruption and uncertainty around this time, participants who studied at university reported a positive influence on their learning and engagement. They explained that because lectures and tutorials had moved online, it mitigated the time spent on the uni commute, which created more time and energy to be directed at other aspects of their daily lives. So in summary, the transition into adulthood for young people with CP is a time of exploration, change, and growth. However, these young people can, and they do, successfully negotiate the many challenges that comes with being an adult. And for those who are seeking to support people with CP to improve social outcomes, it's imperative that the emerging needs of the individual with CP is placed at the forefront of every interaction. This is because not all individuals with CP have the same wants and needs. In addition to that, open and honest conversations, the provision of appropriate and timely support is required in order to meet the needs of adults with CP aging with a lifelong disability and to maximise their participation as they navigate through the unique journey of adulthood transition. Thank you for listening.